Welcome to the Real Double Dose Channel broadcast station, focused on the real reels of real life, love, growth, and of course, elevation within all levels. RDDC is exactly the place where anyone can discover more depth, love, light, and clarity within themselves, and elevate from other people's walks of life, conversations, and questions, along with deeper insights. So tune in and be a part of the Double Doses with Lexus T and RDDC.
Hello, everyone. Once again, this is your host, Lexus T, coming at you with the Real Double Dose channel and flip the switch. That's flip the switch. What we always have to say, what we do. And I want to welcome you to a wonderful conversation. Regardless of the intro, thank you for all of the countries, the cities, the states, everywhere, even the cities within the cities that I didn't even know could exist. And it's beautiful to know. Thank you for all your support, your love, and so much more on coming in, downloading, listening, being a part of it all. I want to just thank you for that. From TuneIn to Stitcher Radio to SoundCloud to Spreaker to Spotify to iHeart, iTunes to Stitcher. I don't know if I said it already. Google Cast, Podcast Addict, Castcom. I don't know. It's Pandora. It's so many. But at the same time, don't worry about the Spotify. We're going to get that together. I think the streams themselves were going there, but the pages didn't upload correctly. So don't blame Angela. You know, there's other fish to fry, and there's plenty of other platforms that host this as well. So it's still there. And you can always link that in. It's about you downloading what the information, the messages, and the transformation that you can get from it. And it's just not about being everywhere just to be, but we're getting there slowly and surely by the grace of God. So I want to start this in with saying happy birthday. And I should have said that first, but just in case you're new listening in or have been a part of this journey, thank you either way. But this is a series dedicated to my beautiful, amazing sister, sister, Marciela. I want to say, may you rest in God's peace. And regardless of how your spirit ascended, I know for a fact that you're in happiness now. You're out the flesh. You're in that, and the visitations I get that God allows me to receive, I know there's nothing but a sense of what I've always desired for my sister to have, even though she was older than me by about 3 or so years. It's just the point well, out of 5, I've always been the one to be, well, technically 6, but you know, I've always been the one that looked at as the oldest, even though I'm the baby. And then I don't get treated like a baby, but I'm just saying, it would be nice to have some French toast in the baby bottle no more. I'm just kidding. Well, baby bottle, I don't know. Childhood regression, we don't know. But I look at that and I'm thinking to myself, happy birthday to her, January 5th. And it's to the whole prelude of the New Year's coming and January 5th to her. But I first and foremost, give that homage to God, of all things, and also to learn from it. And I'm going to try not to get teary-eyed for this one, but this is hashtag Never Fear Your Power Part 2. Now, we might get to a 3, we don't know, but I'm going to try to make it because it is, and I'm trying to get this on time for the first half of the new year coming. Now, it's a 12-month cycle. People get all, you know, stuck in that moment, but I want to say happy birthday to a birthday that will always last in my heart and beyond, even though she passed away on my birthday in April. So I just want to say happy birthday, sis. I feel your spirit every day. I love you and your memories and the feeling that makes my heart throb to know that I can never see you in the flesh, but I always have you in the spirit because your breath ascended to God, you know, and I understand the journey, but I want to get to a page of that. This is not about New Year goals. It's about where you are right now. The goal is for today, never for tomorrow, but we can premeditate for tomorrow just in case we wake up for that time. Now, I look at it like, man, I'm closing my eyes for 6 to 7 hours. Anything could happen overnight. Anything. You could wake up to a whole new world. It's amazing when your eyes close. And if you're actually awake throughout the night, it still can transition to be like, whoa, whoa. Whoa, what just happened? I don't know. I just felt that feeling. But I want to talk about a chapter of hashtag Never Fear Your Power. And if you listen to the last episode, I think it will make more of a correlation from this. So go back and listen to that if you're coming. Now, it's not going to hook up right away and jump to it, but I wanted to talk about it. Porque Y pero, okay, I'm just saying, let's get my Latina flares out. You know, if I could do my Tuslagi and my understanding of getting that language the way it should, and my battery was just about to die. I didn't even know I wasn't plugged. Whoa, 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 thank God. That was scary. That was scary, but whew, man. Okay. Um, yeah, I didn't get a chance to learn a lot of my native cultural language, but I'm learning, and a lot of my friends from different races are still learning theirs as well. But yes, I'm a cesspool. I'm a pool of many cultural bases. But I want to say, like, from stemming on to that, I remember one time when my sister was, I was probably when I was 18 or so, maybe going on 18. I think I was like 17 and a half, and the perpetrator, the so-called family member that harmed me a lot when I was a child, not to mention a few others. But he was more specifically the energy of all things negativity, from physical to sexual to mental manipulation to everything. And I somehow always wondered, how could a person be like that, you know? Even as a kid, I was sitting there feeling bad for them that they had to do that to me. And I was what, maybe 5 or 6, maybe? And they were what, 18, 17, 18, you know? So I'm just saying at that point right there, I'm remembering like, man, I even felt bad for that. But I remember after some time, and you'll be able to hear about this in the Illumination of Self in different segments, or my maybe my autobiography or different things. I don't even know if it's called biography or whatever. But pero we can get to what we want to call it in my book. Or just, you know, some Lex effect coaching moments or whatever it might be. But these are segments to use in my life, not to extort myself or put myself out there to just be like, oh, what was me, this victim, or oh, like listen to this or reopen a wound. No, it's about helping someone else heal and moving forward. And you know, if you don't like it, you don't have to love it and you don't have to be listening to it. But all those who are here for it, I welcome you all the way. But let's jump back into it. So yeah, getting to that point, I remember all those things had happened and he had came up here to Minnesota and he was here. And then all of a sudden, I remember he had popped up kind of almost like an overnight situation thing, but it was kind of there. I think he was there for a few days. And to me, I'm like, why are you here? Like, who let you in, first of all? But it was just that kind of stupidity and ignorance from the access that was going around. Don't even get me started on that. Trust me. You're probably like, what? How? And I'm like, you know, but mine was more of a sacred cuss. You know, at the time, my sister got a chance to have hers opened up and so forth like that. But I still didn't want the spotlight on me. I didn't want the conversation on me. I didn't want the questions on me. And even though I know she sensed it, it was just to the point where I was like, you know, not today, you know, not today. Even my abuelita, my grandma had asked me that when I was visiting her in Alabama. Not near the res where my grandfather was, but like I think it was some like a town away, or so. Man, she looked like a straight one of those old time movie stars, the one that have their hair all curled and prettied up in their little outfits. I'm telling you. Yeah, I'm just saying. Um, so we got to that point and you know, I looked at that. I remember I was arguing with my sister about something. Yeah, this is what we do childhood spats or whatever. And I'm not sure what it was, but he just blurted in and entered himself in there. And he was basically trying to make up for the fact of what he did to her by defending her. And I think because I never said anything about mine, he assumed I didn't remember about what happened to me from him. Oh boy, was he mistaken. Okay. And I remember he went into my room or started yelling at me or something, and then literally got his arm and like literally swooped my whole dresser. It was like my whole top of my dresser, my crystals, everything. I had crystal, like little beautiful decorations. They're just gorgeous. I love whatnots. Just like my mother, my abuelita, my grandmother, God rest her soul, love. And I was like one of those people who were like, don't touch my stuff kind of thing. And I was so irritated. I was so angry. And I remember, I don't know how it happened, but I was telling him to get out my face and pushing him back. And in the corner of the room, he had pulled out this razor blade type thing. And I remember I told him, I said, go ahead and cut me. I wish you would do it. And for some reason, just like California, obviously a lot fast forwarded, I had my power back. You know, I understood that like my voice was my power. It's like it unlocked it. He thought he was suppressing it. like to make me conform. And I'm like, you haven't even been around me and my sister. All you did was hurt us. Like, what are you doing in here? And you're a grown man, like in my face. You got daughters and all that stuff going on. At the time I was just, man, I remember I don't want to get too deep into it. I'm glad that it's still morning chill vibes. I'm pushing for the energy a little bit, but yeah, I remember that. My sister was kind of like looking shocked. And when I had told him, I remember I had told him right in his face, and he looked at me. I said, after what you did to me, you have the nerve to do this? He was like, shut up. What are you talking about? Shut your mouth, and tried to put the razor blade closer to my throat. And I said, no, really, after what you did to me, you have it. I was like, after what you did. And I remember I was like, ah, and I don't even know. I think I could have said, details and so forth. And I knew my mother had came out of her room at that point. My sister was there. My brother was in the kitchen. They heard everything. I was really upset that no one did a damn thing. I'm sorry, I had to say that, but sorry for the profanity, but damn is to damn to hell. You're damned. Hell, Hades. People get so caught up in profanities and stuff. Like, I understand even, the shite. I mean, that's poop. Let's be real about it. I don't know about the FUCs, but at the same time, FUG, right? I'm just saying, like, when it cut, well, bug, Nugan, I don't know. But I remember that, and I remember he was expelled, and I remember I had said it. I went to the hallway and like kind of ran after him after he kind of like let go and like kind of pushed me against the wall real hard, like the jig is up kind of thing. And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, I don't know. My mom was sitting there looking like a deer in headlights. It was even from the fight that happened before anything was exposed. It just angered me the way people froze up when it came down to stopping things from happening instead of you can't be feisty and fearless the whole time. And then when things happen, you just decide to freeze up. I don't know what to do. I don't want to take sides kind of thing. I see now. But I remember, my sister kind of looked at me after she understood. She understood the assignment. Okay. But I remember this is what the conversation was for too. She looked at me like, man, we could speak. And being a Heyoka is beyond that. That's the highest empath that there is reported. But I know I've been a seer, passed on from my generations, even the veil from my mother's eyes to the veil over my skin. I know I need to get higher and deeper into it if I can stop staying away from worldly distractions and getting myself upset, lack of sleep and hydration and a lot of things, even though I have the goddess hashtag tonics of life to know how to do that. I need to align myself. But this is also for the learning purpose of where we are now. And it doesn't mean neglect is it, but I know what I'm doing. But I digress. So getting back to that, I remember my sister looked at me like, wow. And it was a sentiment of my little sister who has been through this. Now, this is the Lex effect, and Lex is T is also a part of my legality, but at the same time, it's about what God decides to use through me and when. But this is the human cusp of all things. Let's just put the Gabriela effect on, right? But she looked at me, humanity. But she looked at me as though, man, my little sister has been keeping this in her entire journey. She hasn't said a single thing. She hasn't complained about it. She has never mentioned it, even when she was asked face to face or whatever. And it was almost like she was mad because she could have resonated with me to a certain point, maybe irritated. But then at the same time, she looked at me like, man, wait a minute. It almost made her lose her victim feeling. Although I get the cutting and the pulling out your hair and the anger, people just display things. I would mimic some of those things with her, not pulling out the hair. I had my nervous breakdown down in Cali. We'll talk about that later. But, I mimic those things even growing up. And I don't recommend any of these things. This is just my personal story of journey and different things I've seen and witnessed and been through myself. So that's a huge disclaimer. But, even cutting up her arms, I would try to mimic that. And then I would say, she's like, oh, the pain makes you feel better. And I used to think that, but I was like, nah, after so many. And then after a while, I actually started doing it just to release the pain. Because I was thinking, well, I'd rather hurt from something else than hurt from what I feel inside. And that's the hurt that we hold on to so bad. Why else get a razor blade and slice your hand up and just slice in your arm? It's to take your mind away from the pain that you're holding on to so steadily, or that's vibrating, that you're not knowing how to let go or releasing that. Okay, or don't want to let go because it's your only identity, from the formity of the identity of the pain. But I remember, you know, she never really asked me much about it, and she wouldn't speak much about it with me. She would listen to me, and she'd kind of go off subject, but that was what my sister was all the time, a little bit. I always say it's a Capricorn nature, but I think it just affected her too much and made her anger too high to know, dang, not only did this jerk do this to me really horrendously, but he did it to her, my baby sister. How do you do that? How do you not take his life? How do you not hurt the person that gave him life? It's a whole different connection. And it's different when I was gonna say consensual is different when you marry off someone. They're really into the journey, into the relationship themselves. When you get to a certain age bracket, that's understandable. But to a child that has no help, no, no. And if you're listening to this and have some sins you need to bear, then you need to bear your cross and ask God for forgiveness and also seek out forgiveness from those you hurt. Although I will say that that part of it, hashtag never fear your power, is, I hope that's the correct thing. If it's not, then you know what I mean. But never fear your power. You have that. I had to tell myself in that moment, being pushed though, who do you think you are stopping me from being with my sister and having a little argument? Who? I mean, my mind is blown. I had to just, I don't know. It just got to me in that moment. Like, who do you just who? I think I'm like an owl. But who do you think you are? I mean, it's no laughing matter. I can shrug it a little bit now, but it does bother me to my core at times. Her power was saying, man, that was a bold way to come out. Even though she came out and finally came out after years of different things happening, I don't think it was bold enough and zest. Now, she got her words out to him before she passed away. She let him know just how she felt, and I'm so proud of her for that. But never fear the power that you hold. The whole understanding of that is when she looked at me in my eyes, it was meaning, man, she didn't. My sister here, my little sister who fights and stands up for all of us, is literally going through some of the stuff. I don't even know what she went through, but she kept her mouth quiet and she became a very strong being, even though I was still getting to my weakness to get strong and my stronger to my strongest and my most highest level now, and still calibrating above. I just looked at that and I'm like, man, wow, that's what it was. And she asked me though, I remember later on, she asked me, why didn't you say anything? I'm like, well, because I needed, your focus was so much on, you were the weakest one in a different way. We all have our strengths. My sister was strong in very many areas. Learned a lot from her. My sister, mom. And that shit, when she was born, that's what I call it. My mom had handed me to her to hold in the hospital or whatever. And she said, is that my baby? It says, this is my baby? She goes, yes. She told my sister, this is your baby. And she was like, my baby. And she kind of, she had that motherly thing. I'm not gonna say Capricorn thing. It was a motherly thing. It was when I wanted something, I would ask, first mom, and then I would ask her. And she'd say, yes, I go for it. I couldn't get in trouble because she said, yeah. Maybe every once in a blue moon I get yelled at, but you know what I mean. Okay, so that's what I meant by it itself, though. I had to laugh that off a little bit because, I was thinking, hey, can I go do this? Can I have this? And sometimes she'd be like, no. And then I go back to my mom. And then she'd be like, oh, or she'll say double no. And I get so angry because I couldn't get yes out of one of them. It was, psychology tactics of a kid, but, trying to get my innocent things. Although I looked at that and I'm thinking to myself, at the end of the day, in the beginning of the day, she saw that power. And even though she got a chance to do it, several months before she passed away, it's to the point she was still vexed by that person hanging around town, being around here, hanging out with her husband, doing different stuff. And he was an idiot overall because her husband knew. It's just, you can't remake the past. I get it. Can't just smash people's faces in, but people need to be reprimanded and put on blast, not in a hurtful, vindictive way, but hey, you need to come to the light. It can't be forced, but it definitely can be, I'm not going to say coddled, but it can be brought to the surface, just like oil and water don't mix. The truth and lies do not mix. They never will. There's always going to be the truth within lies, but there'll never be a lie within the truth. And also, maybe we'll get to this for Truth Seekers Mastermind Alliance, our TSMA episodes. I want to do with heck. But think about that. Light and dark cannot mix when it comes down to what that is. It's like truth and lies. Why, especially the quote Christian world, the people who are believers, they even the occults and different ones out here, the witchery and the sorcery, they understand the powers that be to a good perspective. They try to conjure them opposite of what God is. That's their fault. Ignorance, right? And the non-ignorant, because they do know, but then they still go against that. It's almost like, let me get it the fast way. I don't want to go the narrow way. I don't want to go in the light of God. I want to go in this way because I can do whatever I want with no rules. I want the bad parent, not the good one. Kind of thing, even though there's only one origination of everything on earth and every parent that ever will be. But I look at that and I'm thinking, man, what is it though? What is it that we fear the light? Because the darker it is, the brighter we shine. And we're so caught in this cusp, you know, when you get something, just like they say the elephant, they put the chain on the elephant and the circus. I don't know what it was, some ringleaders, I don't know. And that elephant wouldn't move. There's different animals that said, but that elephant tried when it was younger, should I say, and it tried to get loose. And every time it did, the big chain would pull it back. And it was little enough to where it couldn't really do much force to that holding on to that wood. Right. And then it tried over and over. Then eventually its mind and its fear factor told him, or told the animal, or instilled in the animal, hey, you can try all you want. You're not getting through here. And eventually it didn't even try. They could put that chain up to a little teeny twig, and the elephant's mind would say, you're not going to get through. Or not even cuff the elephant at all. See, the elephant was so used to having the chains that it didn't even matter at that point if you took them off. They still felt like the limitation cap was there. Hashtag never fear your power ever again. Because what you don't know will literally hurt you. It will. If you didn't know, man, I didn't know that there was a gas station 1 mile up the road, and I'm sitting here driving 20 miles up the road, and I can't even make it for 10 miles. Now, in that desert, you might meet a crazy hitchhiking situation. Someone might pull up, try to hurt you, some wild animal, a car might swipe you, or you could just be fine trying to make it to the next area, but you just don't know. It could be your life on that journey. Or yeah, same thing. You can say, well, what if you go 1 mile to the gas station and gets robbed or it blows up? Or yeah, but the thing is what I'm saying is the understanding of that is you could have had more gas to keep moving. Now, 9 times out of 10, I'm just saying the gas station is gonna blow up. So all that to say, never never fear your power, part 2 of this conversation. And that the takeaway that I want you to see as well is that it liberated her and it opened her to see, man, my little sister was going through some things that she never said anything about her crazy storm, you know? And even so, I'm not saying that silence is power, but it also gave me the remembrance every day to tell myself after I kept that in for what, at that point, 15? I mean, like, I don't know. It had to have been like maybe 18, 17, 16 years. I'm not sure. No, I think it was like my bad. Yeah, it had to been about 13 years or something like that. But still, it was a long time. I had to tell myself every day, remind myself at least every week, hey, don't slip. This really happened. You're not dreaming. This really happened. And it sucked because it brought me to a deeper place of depression. And I would get into mischief and crazy as a teenager, but not too crazy. I still have respect and morals, of course, but it was okay to, you know, throw a couple eggs every once in a while with my friends. I'm just saying, yeah, karma came back, don't worry. But yeah, I wanted you all to take this, but no sé por qué es mucho importante, but it's something I want you to hold on to and know that it is. If someone has hurt you or whatever else, always put yourself in a safe position or have people who support you that'll actually be someone or not someone who's deranged and having some crazy things in them. For any kind of, you know, disclaimer with that, go to spiritofmindelevation.com/terms and conditions services, or just go on that page and it'll be right there in that link, common sense practices and beyond. I just want to say Amber Double Dose channel as well has that page available on our drop down tabs. But I'm just gonna end it with this right now. I don't know if there will be a part 3, but it's enough for you to have right now, even if there isn't. So I'll just leave it at a ... right now. But yeah, never fear your power. I'm gonna have to go get some of this stuff done before I get to my next partnership box move. And my brother's supposed to be helping me with that. So I don't want to make him feel like I'm behind even more than I might be. But I wanted to give this dedication again. It's about knowing that, hey, you don't have to live in pain. You don't have to live that way. And even though it's still going to resonate, still pop up, you still can overpower it. You still can let the fear, the false evidence appearing real, be knocked down. You still can tell it, look, you might have hurt me before, but you're not going to help. You're not going to, well, I'm saying demon or dang it, you're not going to do it now. And a person, you don't have to like let it ooze all over you. My sister, God rest her soul, like it was an oozing factor of just hurt and pain, even with her smile. And I just wish she wouldn't have lived in such a state of hurt and pain constantly. Where it's like, even when she smiled, when her babies were in her arms and she had them or had different things, you could see it just come right back in. It became her face mask. It became the realness of what it was, even though it was still dead. It became someone else's burden right in there. I wish I could have been like John Coffey on the movie The Green Mile with Tom Hanks. Please believe me. I wish I had not necessarily the mouth thing, but I could have took that pain out of people and those little orbs and just released it into the ether. Man, that is just phenomenal to do that. But you can't take people's pain away, but you can help them find the way to take the pain to its coma. I can't say it'll forever die. It'll always die when it comes down to you giving your life to God in Christ. Absolutely. But at the same time, it's still a resonance to learn and grow in the future. So you're always going to have to deal with the measurements. So I say a deep coma, meaning that it's not going to wake up. It's still breathing, but it's not going to be able to affect you in an animated way. It's there for a learning curve and a cycle, and to put the pieces and learn how to get the pain, the irritation, the frustration, and the whys, and why they leave me, why this happened, why she do this, why did my car break down, why, put it all together and make it be what it is when it allows itself to be what it is. You see the dots connecting once you're not forcing them to happen. And you wonder why, because in this experience of life, we're supposed to live it to the fullest and the best. But since we're all doing our own thing, serving our own selves, what we want to do, but we won't, this person over here, this person entertained by this person over here trying to be the next top model, this person over here, like we're all doing our own selfish things. We're not thinking as a whole of a God force. Then we start messing with each other's lives in that way. Why else go and break in someone's home and go hurt their entire family just to get a couple bucks and go run off and try to take care of yours? We think so separately, from the hair texture to the color to the language barriers, and it's just a complexion detection level. It's just a hair level. It's a cultural mindset level. Like it's not even, we're of the same accord when it comes down to the creator of all things. We come. And even if there was many creators, which there's not only one creator, they put all of us here to just get along with each other, and they're not. Like, doesn't make any sense. The whole cosmos would be blowing up and having a freaking Star Wars war all the time. I mean, it just make it make sense, people. Make it make sense. Okay. Heard that recently on something else, but I wanted to hear. I think it was my 1,000 Pound Sisters when her other sister Amanda, season 6 or 8 or so. I don't know. Season 6, I think it was. I'm sorry. I did like them though. And I'm going to tell you why, because one, I do like the fact that they're talking about weight loss journey. They got some Southern comforty charms to them. They're real, about what's going on in their lives, and they don't hold back on it. And I like the fact that they're helping people get to a better way of fighting through what it is to lose weight and do something. So yeah, if you wanted to ask why is that, Lex, because it has a reason behind it. Okay. I'm not going to say honey boo boo thing, but I'm just saying like that right there has a deeper meaning behind it. And it also gives people motivation and seeing transformations and things happen in the process of what they have to go through with skin removal and so forth and everything else. Life can do that to you, mindset and beyond. So yeah, I just want to say, don't ever let that be something that backslides. Don't forget your power. Don't be so self-centered and selfish to just think, oh, woe is me. Yes, the pain is unbearable. I'm telling you. It feels like punching my steering wheel, nothing helped. Even to the point where I grounded my teeth so much that my molars burst into 4 pieces in my mouth. It imploded. My jaw buckled. That's how much I was holding on when the nurse was on the phone with me. So I didn't even feel that. I was like, okay, all right. And more discomfort. It ain't never going to take the fact that, okay, my sister, and then a couple months later, my brother passed. And that bothers me as well. So it's like I want to get on that conversation with him at another time. Right now, this is about January 5th. Happy birthday to Marciela. I love you forever and ever, and I can't wait to see you again through the grace of God. And I thank you for the life that you had to put in, no matter if you didn't know how powerful you are, you should know right now, because the double doses is a part of you as well. And what you have created to be a part of here, from the learning curves and the pain that you went through and the different shields that you gave me in order for me to not be the one that was most hurt. A learning lesson and a legacy she'll always leave, even if she doesn't think she does to her offspring or more, she'll live it through me. And I want to tell all of each and every one of you, before I get too emotional, hashtag never fear your power. Never fear what you are. Never fear what you can become. Never fear. As long as it's not impeding, hurting, or sitting on or squashing someone else, and it's about the upliftment of where you're going, and you're seeking that knowledge, you're seeking that connection with God, you're doing what you need to do, and you're pushing past the pain in order to release it for the next, to become the God force of whole that we all are. You will find your golden pots and beyond at the end of each covenant rainbow that God created for our covenant with us, not what it is called now in any community. It's love from every level of who we are. It's not about genders, it's not about colors, it's not about food preference, it's not about that. It's about what we were created to be. And we've got so divided, we can find any incremental thing to be separate of. Oh, we're vegans and you eat meat and you're this and you should step on grass, you should walk on dirt, and you drink milk and I drink almond milk. It's like, it doesn't matter. We're always finding some division. And I'm saying the darkness cannot ever defeat the light, but you only become brighter around the darkness. So I'm going to leave this with you. I hope my voice wasn't too groggy. I had a little bit of water this morning, I know. But just tune in for our shows. We have the TSMA rolling out. You have Heck versus Hell every Friday, and I was supposed to be getting some interview with him. So this is going to be interesting to see what's going on with his itinerary to open that up so I can be on there. So I'll be listening out for that. This is hashtag Never Fear Your Power Part 2, or Never Fear Your Power Again Part 2. And I love you. We love you. You're amazing. Be the change, feel the passion, and embrace the power of the Spirit that's always calling within you, from you, and to you. And we will be back with you very, very soon.